Welcome back. Harlem United champions health equity for the LGBTQ plus community, focusing on those often overlooked, which are individuals with chronic conditions, the unhoused, older adults, and people of color. Over the years, Harlem United has expanded to address diverse healthcare needs and has steadfastly advocated for social justice, remaining deeply rooted in the community. Joining us now is Harlem United CEO Jacquelyn Kilmer and client and board member Shakira Stevens. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Now, Jacquelyn or Jackie, Harlem United has a rich history dating back to 1988. Can you share how the organization's mission has evolved over the years and what its primary focus is today?
Yes, definitely. You're so right. Starting in 1988, a very small group of dedicated advocates and members of the faith community came together because they were devastated at what they saw happening around them. People were, in some cases, literally dying on the street from AIDS. And they couldn't take that. So they banded together and gave of their hearts and a space in the basement of a church in central Harlem in order to provide whatever care and comfort and services they could provide at the time to those who were living with and dying from HIV and AIDS. So the mission really at that time was, and the goal was just to be able to provide whatever services they could and to make sure that no one was dying alone, and they knew that they were loved, and then they knew that they had community and a place to go when they were able to. Over time, as thank goodness, treatment for HIV and AIDS advanced, and the needs of our clients actually grew along with that, we expanded our services to include things like primary care and dental services, housing services, and not just for people living with HIV and AIDS, but people who are suffering from other chronic physical and mental health and substance use issues, and the homeless. And really, from our very beginning, our core mission has remained the same, which is to advance health equity through all of our services, so housing, healthcare, and harm reduction services. And today we provide not only world-class healthcare for people living with HIV and AIDS, but for other chronic physical and mental health conditions and substance use, and provide supports for those who are homeless, and try to get them housed as quickly as possible.
Thank you so much for giving a little history and the importance of the organization and how it's evolved today. So thank you so much for that. Shakira, what personal experiences have you had with Harlem United that illustrates, the impact that we heard about on the community?
Well, I started out, I had my own apartment. I suffered from depression, and so I found myself isolating most of the times. I would meet with my case manager, she would tell me about Harlem United. I'm like, I don't know about it. She was like, just give it a try, She said that for like several different times, and then I finally came from my primary appointment one time, and I looked, and I seen a community of people, inside the ADHD, the adult day program, right? And so I started my process there. I walked in, everyone welcomed me with open arms. I started my primary more, I started going to my appointments more often and making sure that stayed number one, because my health comes first. And I've been there ever since. I partake in the shows, I sit on the board, I wanted to be in a position where I was able to give back, and that for me is the give back, affording the newcomer that comes into the program the same services and opportunity that I was when I first walked in. So, yeah.
Now, I think you said something that was so interesting, which a lot of people feel is that, in the beginning when we hear about organizations that we hear are supposed to help us, sometimes there's a little bit of resistance where you're like, I don't know. Jackie, can you just talk about how the organization was able to kind of gain the trust of the people that they're supposed to serve?
Sure, yeah, it's so important, right? Because you can have all kinds of bad experiences, and that will really keep you from getting the services that you need. But for us, it's providing services through what we call a trauma-informed care approach, and that really looks at the whole person. It looks at their life experiences, particularly for the LGBTQ plus community, the discrimination and the stigma that they face, among other traumas, and really providing services and care through that lens to make sure that we're addressing the needs of the particular individual. And I think, as Shakira said, we strive to provide community and family for people who may not have that outside of Harlem United, and really provide a safe space for people to come and just be who they are.
Now, Shakira, can you talk about the importance of, just kind of expanding on this idea of building strong bonds within the community to combat isolation and stigma? And, what are some ways you contribute to this effort?
Well, being I would say being the groups that they have, right? We're able to sit down and we're able to share our stories, being able to identify with someone else who's gone through the same experiences that I've gone through helps build that bond, that relationship that's so vitally important for an individual's process. I was scared that there wasn't anybody, but to know that there is somebody out there that, hey, they've been through what I've been through. Okay. I don't feel like I need to isolate as much now. I have someplace to go. I have purpose now, so yeah.
And Jackie, looking ahead, what do you envision for the future of LGBTQ plus healthcare, and how is Harlem United preparing to meet these future challenges?
Well, I see just an ever-increasing need for compassionate, culturally competent, and comprehensive care for the LGBTQ plus community, particularly as we see an increase in refugees and immigrants coming into the state, many of whom are coming from countries where they suffer from or face persecution because of their sexual identity or sexuality or gender identity, and also because of the ever-increasing hate-filled legislation within our own country. So we have to create those spaces and access to the kind of care that Harlem United provides in order to really address all of the issues that need to be addressed. And from a great example, and this happened recently at Harlem United, we provided care for a young woman at the Nest, which is our flagship health center on West 133rd Street in Central Harlem, and she came to us for a variety of healthcare issues. She was in the process of seeking asylum because she had been persecuted in her home country, and at the time was facing deportation back to her home country. She was unfortunately couldn't afford a lawyer, of course, and had no one else to assist her, so she was trying to maneuver through the very complicated asylum process by herself. The nurse who saw her, who has had some training in this area, was able to provide her with a detailed, written, very detailed medical affidavit that she was able to submit with her application for asylum. She won asylum. And is now on her way to becoming a U.S. citizen. So, we see that our role is to really be able to provide those kinds of services to everyone in the community.
Well, I want to thank you both so much for joining us and kind of sharing some of the work that you do to empower those in our community. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For more information, you can visit their website at harlemunited.org and follow them on Instagram at harlemunitednyc. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open right after this.